1965 Zenith color Roundie. This is a chassis 25 MC30, MC33. So it's a 25 tube model. I'm doing an analysis on this for somebody. You can see the TV is COVID compliant with CDC guidelines. The door's a little bit bent up. And knobs are all there. The cabinet is fair. It really needs to be refinished. We're gonna take a look at this video and see. I'm trying a different camera this time. Doesn't look like it's as sharp as it could be. Anyway, the cabinet is marginal. The top needs to be refinished. The finish is totally gone here, and they took a marker and darkened it up, and there's some doodling here. It appears that the CRT was done because it has that hollow sound like the cataract was pulled off. Besides that, looks like we got a little splicing action here. Gotta love the packing tape job. Besides that, the cabinet is average. Find this a little bit interesting. Let's take a look at the inside. .25 MC33. This is, these fins are a bit of a gimmick in my opinion. Lots of tube replacements here. Let's see. Sylvania. They're all Sylvania tubes. Sylvania. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Sylvania. I guarantee it's a Sylvania. Well, I stand corrected. It's a Zenith from '64. Maybe the person that just changed all the tubes with new Sylvania tubes didn't understand or didn't realize that these under this metal thing were replaceable. That's a stretch, isn't it? See, the cap is still on the tuner. All right, let's take a look in here. Ooh, that looks promising. Looking for discoloration of the rear inside there, that rear cup. I'm looking for discoloration, which would indicate high hours, and I don't see it. In fact, this looks, see, the color is silver, just like the the element in front of it. So that is promising. That's a little exciting. You can see this is not blue or changed colors. Ooh. It's obviously a replacement. Okay, what the hell is going on here? I did this very gently, and you can see that that is still in there, the pin, and it was arcing. See how it's white? And the socket is loose. Like this, yeah, you can see the solder is not on several of these wires. Okay. This is not good. It's already loose, but I'm gonna pull it off and make sure all of the wires are still attached to the CRT, because if they are not, there's no reason going forward. And like I said, you can see that that one had been arcing for a long time. That's the focus. Wow, look at that. You can actually, it was arcing so long, the wire got hot. Look at how it burnt there. Baked. Look at that. It melted the focus wire. I wonder if I can get that pin out of there, or if it's welded in the socket. This is not really a good look. I may regret this, but the more I feel it, how the hell am I ever gonna see? I believe when these wires, look at, you can see the solder wasn't even stuck to a lot of them. I believe when these wires are much longer when they're new, and then you can feed them through, but not a single one of them was still soldered. The whole entire socket. Wow. Wow. Here's the focus pin. And the problem now is, well, this is roached from arcing. I got a few problems trying to get the solder to stick to these wires. This is that type of wire that the glass bonds to. The glass will hermetically bond to this type of tungsten wire they use, but the problem is solder does not like to stick to it. It's like trying to solder to a tube pin. You can't do it. So that's the first problem. The second problem is I need a new socket, and what I'm thinking of doing is cutting the socket, like grinding a 1/4 inch of it off so the wires are long enough to feed through a shorter socket, because I got enough room. I got enough room to almost go to like there before I hit the nipple. So, and then it's going to be so ridiculous to try and feed all these wires through and have them all fit in the hole. It's going to be like pouring a puzzle out of the box and having it self-assemble when it lands on the table. But I have a feeling this is a good CRT. By looking at the color, I have a feeling this is a good CRT. Okay, we got continuity on the filament. I'm going to apply 6 volts here and let it run for a few minutes and make sure it hasn't gone to air. Okay, I'm running it on about 6.3 volts here. I'm only using 2 of the 4 cells. And it looks good. If it had a considerable, let's try that again. If it had a considerable amount of air in it, they would not be bright and they would have popped by now. So I'm 85% sure this is a good strong tube. I think what I'm going to do, this is flux. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this on here and just let it sit for the next couple days while I try and find a solution. I need to find a socket, and I think I'm going to have to trim the socket down. What I'm considering doing is, if you remember this set from a previous video, the CRT is weak in this. And also, as I move this around, I believe one of the wires was broken off on the inside. So what I'm considering doing is yanking this off of here. But I want to check with the person who owns the set first, because this is pretty beat up. I've decided to pull the base off of this CRT. No one seems interested in the Admiral. It looks like it's going to be upcycled into a dog bed. So in a previous video, we rejuvenated this with the Beltron, and let's see how it held up. Let's see. It still had kind of a crappy picture. 6.3. And we are glowing. And let's see, set cutoff. Well, those are some interesting results. Let me check my settings. Yeah, what's going on here is what we saw when we were working on the TV. The wires are breaking off the CRT if I move it around. Yeah, it's done. It's done. I need 2 hands to do this. What I'm going to do is just go around it with a MAP gas torch, heat up all the pins, and then pull it off. And there we go. It's a interesting burning odor. So we can see exactly what leads were broken off here, and there were 3 of them. So yeah, this CRT is toast. But see, this is how the lead should look on the other CRT, all nice and tinned like that. This was just broken because the socket was broken and it was kind of flapping around. When I put it back on, it's interesting how this CRT had some silicone on the focus lead too, and this little piece of wire here, and the other one does not have that. Okay, this is going to be the hardest part right here. I took a look at this and I kind of scraped one of these wires off, and I found that I can get solder to stick to it. So what I got to do is very gently go through and clean all these wires off and try and get them tinned, and then try and get this over it and get all the wires fed through the correct hole. This is not going to be easy. Some thoughts while the iron is warming up. Now, with the way this was with none of these wires making contact. And of course that one's all melted and burnt because this is the focus lead and there's 4 kilovolts, around 4 to 6 kilovolts on this. That was arcing inside the pin on the base of the CRT. But all of the other leads, you know, the voltage is really not high enough to arc as bad as that where you'd see it. So if this thing, none of these were tinned properly, come on, focus, this must have had a really twacked picture while it was running. I can't even imagine with these leads, some of them making contact, some of them not, high resistance on some of them, how twacked this picture must have been. I got the wires all cleaned up and tinned pretty well. And I'll tell you exactly what the problem was. When they soldered this socket on that failed, all they did was soldered the tips. You need to flow. You can see the solder is not flowed. Like soldering copper plumbing, you need enough heat and enough solder so that it flows the entire length of the joint, or the majority of it. And they didn't do that. They just soldered the tip right where it comes through the end here. Well, we're gonna flow enough in there to, yeah, this is not pretty. And now the next step is to try and get this over all those wires, which is not going to be easy. Okay, so seriously, like an hour and a half later, this was one of the toughest things I've ever done. One of the most frustrating, toughest things I've ever done. Okay, now comes the moment of truth. This is cut off. This is a good CRT. That's why I spent the time. So let's see, let's bring the cutoff down to where it's supposed to be. If we got cut off, it's a pretty good CRT. Well, whatever. It's also been asleep for a while, so it'll work. It'll produce an okay picture. It's not much better than the one in the Admiral, but it's been asleep for a while. Hey, at least it's fixed. I can't say I've ever seen a video where somebody did what I just did. I'm about to make all those blog reading, armchair, keyboard warrior cap changers just drop a load right in their pants. No Variac, no nothing. Here we go. I didn't hear anything. It's getting hot. There's glowing. We just don't want to make sure we have a high voltage fault and burn anything up. But this is a Zenith. This should turn right on and work no matter how old it is. Okay, it was dead quiet, so looking at the wattage here, 120 watts, that's probably just the filaments. So we don't have any B+. We have a circuit breaker here, don't we? Ooh, That was not happy. Try that again for destructive measure. So let's see. Oh, 1075 watts. That's good for that transformer. Okay, so obviously something is shorted. A capacitor, a rectifier diode, something on the secondary, the transformer's shorted because, of course, the filaments are working. So, time to diagnosticate. This has what's called the Zenith thermotheracy. And what that is you can just remove this plate and get to a large part of the bottom where all the components are. But unfortunately, the transformer is right here, and it looks like there's wood. Yeah, go into a customer's house and flip their TV over on their rug in their living room. I wonder how that went over. I wonder how that looked. Anyway, let me get this off. Let's have a look in there. So this is the area we probably want to look at. And we got two diodes here. These are probably our rectifiers that might use a voltage doubler circuit. This is our degaussing setup. This is a VDR, the big one. And this is the thermistor. These have obviously been replaced. They just J-hooked them in there. So we might want to start off checking those. We could have a shorted filter capacitor. Yeah, we just need to diagnose it. I'm just admiring the Zenith hand constructed chassis. I just love these old American made resistors. That's been replaced. It's J-hooked in. This should be recapped, absolutely. These white paper capacitors should be changed. These are probably okay. The disc capacitors are okay. There's a couple Bumble Beauty black bombs in here. Those should be changed. This could be paper. Yeah, definitely, if this was going to be put back into service, a recap would be in order. And yeah, I guess that's a choke and a vertical output transformer there. So, there's another black Bumble bomb coming to burn down your neighborhood. Chaotic but beautiful at the same time. And yeah, one of these filter capacitors was a replacement on top. I think it's that one. Forward drop on this diode's 0.523. That's okay. Let's see this one. .6 on this one. Open one direction, around 0.6 the other. That's about right. Well, that's interesting. If that one's checking 0 now, what's going on here? Are my clip leads not making good contact? Yeah, that's what it is. The clip leads weren't making good contact. So that one's dead shorted. Let me try this one again. .522 that direction. It climbs up as the capacitor charges that direction. Okay. My bad. This diode appears to be shorted. Let me get that out of there. This diode is in fact completely shorted. So this is a ECG, come on, focus. ECG 156, so this is a replacement. You could use a 1N 4007 in here. I'm probably going to go with something a little bit heavier, like a MUR 4100, which is 4 amp. I think it's 4 amp 1000 volt. These are some mil-spec MUR 4100s. I'm going to pull one of these out and put it in there. We got our replacement diode here. I hope I got it in right. Looking at the symbol on this one, it should be. So we'll hope. I should have made mention earlier on, I don't know, maybe I did, that this is a third-party deal. I'm basically picking this up for somebody, and if it's in good enough shape, they're going to do a U-ship on it, and the U-ship will probably cost them $400 to $600, so they want to make sure that the TV is, resurrectable and usable. So that's what we're doing here, just a resurrection. I'm going to use a 500 watt light bulb as a current limiter here. I don't want to keep hitting that power transformer with a kilowatt. That's not real bright. I got my super UL approved connection. Isn't that beautiful? Safety first. So here we go. The circuit breaker is still popped. I'm going to pull the power switch. You can see that's just the filaments. The idea here is that if something is still shorted, the 500 watt light bulb will basically limit the amount of power that can go through that transformer to 500 watts. So, starting to get some sun here, which is going to screw the video up. Okay, circuit breaker. I'm going to push the circuit breaker. Yeah, that's too much. Something is still shorted. Well, that light bulb's going to set the damn cabinet on fire. It's so hot. We still got a short. Either that, I put the diode in backwards. Look at that, it already burnt the cabinet. Here's the diode that was shorted. Here's the circuit breaker on the secondary. I almost think the short is here rather than on the other side of the choke. It's definitely not on the other side of this 1000 ohm resistor, because it would blow that apart in a heartbeat. So maybe one of these two doublers is shorted. C1 and C2. So I guess we better check those. So this must have been cremated by whatever else was shorted. And the circuit breaker was popped when I plugged it in, so somebody else plugged it in before me. It's not my fault. I'm not taking the blame. These are the two capacitors that are part of the doubler circuit. There's this one here, and then over here is this one. So what I'm using is I'm using diode check still, and diode check basically applies like 3 volts coming out of the meter, and then it measures the voltage drop across the meter. So let's do this one. So that looks like an okay capacitor. The voltage is increasing as the capacitor charges. So then that yellow wire comes over to this one. Yeah, this one looks... Either this one is shorted, or that little disc capacitor is shorted. What do you think? What's more likely? The disc capacitor is shorted or the electrolytic is shorted? Okay, well, apparently it's not the capacitor that's shorted. It's over here. I believe this is my fault. When I soldered the replacement diode in, the solder kind of melted into this wire, and this wire is the one that goes into the circuit breaker. So that's where our short was. Also, this thermistor here is starting to fall apart. That's like a CL90 is what that is. It should still work like that, but it should be replaced. These two should be replaced as a pair whenever you recap one of these sets. This thing has a high failure rate in color sets. All right. Circuit breaker is closed now. So here we go. Power. That looks better. Now it should drop as the filaments heat up, and then once the tubes start to conduct, the voltage or the current draw should come back up, and that's what you're seeing now. Well, that's happiness, isn't it? Like to see a little bit of light on the screen here, and I think I do. Maybe not. We have a lot of voltage drop across that, a lot. So it might not be getting enough voltage to actually fire off the horizontal output. Actually, I do have something on the screen. Watch when I turn the power switch off. Yeah, I think we're good here. Here we go, full bareback, riding it raw. Want to just keep an eye on our wattage here. I don't want to. So what the hell do we have now? No vertical deflection? What's the service switch flipped? Oh, look at that. Wow, it's a Zenith. Ready to go. Showroom fresh. Bet it'll get channel 6. Yes, we still have an analog television station in Los Angeles. For how much longer, I don't know. I have a feeling the fine-tuning gear is broken on the tuner. There's a little plastic gear that always cracks on these and slips. Yeah, it appears the fine-tuning's not working. Crap. I want to pull the tuner out of this. What I'm trying to do now is verify that everything is good with the CRT, and kind of had to move up here into the weeds to get out of the sun. And when I turn the red up, though I'm in service mode, when I turn the red up, the line goes away. So something is not right here. So green works. This is green, which I can't turn, but it works. Blue works, but red kills everything. When I turn the red G2 raster up on raster, it kills the picture. So something's going on here. And before I go any further, I want to make sure that something didn't screw up with this right here. So what's going on here? Red, green, blue, and red G2. When I turn the red G2 up, the whole thing goes dark. So I'm wondering if maybe something is shorted here. So when I turn this up, it loads the other ones down. Huh, why would there not be smoke? I am on the blue G2 right now. So let's see if I turn it up. Okay, so that's turning the blue G2 up, 749 volts. Let's see what happens if I turn the red G2 up. Of course, that's exactly what's happening. So do I have a short here? Is the short in the pot? Is the short, where is the short? I'm on the red G2, and G2 is the white with the color stripe. Okay, so that's the red G2. I'm going to turn it up. It didn't move at all. What the hell? So I turned the red G2 pot up. It doesn't go up, but the other ones go down. How is that possible? Okay, green G2 does the same thing as blue G2. It works fine, except if I turn red G2 up, it pulls green G2 down. Wait, now all of a sudden it's working fine. What the hell, was there a whisker in the pot? It's working fine now. Yeah, it's working fine now. I'm getting a red, green, and blue line in service mode. And that's exactly the problem. Come on, focus on that little gear right there. You'll see when I turn this. See the little gear? It's slipping on the shaft. See? This is very common for Zeniths. I've seen this on almost every Zenith. See there, it turned a little bit. I've seen this on almost every Zenith I worked on, that this gear cracks, and now it's working. This gear cracks and slips on the shaft, so that's got to be fixed, or no fine tuning. You can see the crack there and how it just spins on the shaft. We'll clean this up real good with some type of solvent and glue it on. Let's rock that airplane for a second. You can see the crack in the gear right there. I'm just going to use some 90-second epoxy and Clinko torculate. The tuner is all back together. The gear is glued. I sprayed a lot of cleaner in here and rotated it 1,000 times. Take a look at the gear down there. You can see how it turns now. So we're ready to put this tuner back in and see if it works.
Valor de la Santa Misa y las grandes gracias espirituales que contiene. santamaríadelmonte.com y nosotros te lo llevamos a tu casa. Pensamos en ti. Qué práctico, qué fácil, es una buena noticia. Reza el rosario con nosotros y escucha toda la programación. Conéctate con Guadalupe Radio. Descarga la aplicación. En Guadalupe Radio nos alegra el corazón que la palabra de Cristo y el amor de María ahora estén transformando miles de almas en San Diego y Tijuana a través de una misma frecuencia, 87.7 FM. Comparte con tu familia y amigos para que seamos más los que conozcamos el amor de Dios. Guadalupe Radio, un solo palpitar, un solo corazón, una misma.
Channel 6, Radio Guadalupe TV, low power, analog, Channel 6. FM 88.7, same thing.
Familia, trabajo o estudios, debes aprender a conocerte y luego aprender a conocer a los demás. El padre Lorenzo Gómez nos presenta su libro en inglés, The Temperament, en donde encontrarás orientación para conocerte mejor y así sacar lo mejor de cada... Ya estamos listos para echarle otra raya más al tigre, señoras y señores. Guadalupe Radio, el 87.7. Gracias por acompañarnos. Estamos de lunes a viernes, 6 de la mañana. Lunes a viernes, 6 de la mañana. Tempranito, madrugando, para que no digan que Chuchita.
There it is.
Mándenos su preguntita.
I'm going to try the LCG 396 today. So we're on channel 4. So 654. Let's try and dial this in here. There we go. That should be our EIA color bars. So where is the color? Let's see here. I hope the color demodulation works, which it doesn't. What I'm trying to do right now is just confirm the CRT is all good, and then I'll fill that area up in the back with silicone. I'll just wrap tape around it, pump silicone into it. The focus looks a little soft here. I think I'll try and dial that in. Okay, wow, the focus came right in. The pot was, this has a variable resistor, not a inductor that's like 20 turns like RCA, and it was all the way the wrong way. So the focus came right in. We still don't have any color. And adjusting everything here, so our color demod circuit is not working. We have a color killer adjustment here. Color killer is sort of irrelevant today. This is used to turn the color snow off in a low signal environment. So if you had a really weak channel, instead of having all this color noise or colored snow in between channels, this is like a gate that cuts the color off. And I am totally blown away that that was turned all the way up and that got the color going. Whoever had this just tweaked everything on the back of it. Let's see if we can adjust. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, now we're cooking with gas. Quit blanking. Nice. Wow, so that's nice. That means this sucker is ready to go. Nice. That came together rather quick. So that should be purity. It's all there. The way I would fix this, if it was mine, is I would wrap the tape around it like that, and then I'd punch a hole in it, and I would just fill it solid with this. This is a silicone that does not have the acid in it that eats up copper wire. Okay, I'm out, and this is like $12 or $14 for a tube, but it's well worth it on this CRT. I put several layers of electrical tape over here by the focus, and now I'm going to wrap metal tape around this whole thing. Hopefully the next person that actually owns this TV I'm checking it out for will do that. Fill this, just pack this whole thing with Permatex Ultra Silicone, gray or black. As undesirable as this is, it's strong. I mean, I'm putting a lot of pressure on it, and it doesn't move. So, yep. Take the metal tape off, fill that with silicone. Fill it solid. Make sure it's just one solid packed blob of silicone. All we need to watch over-the-air TV on this is an over-the-air digital to analog converter box, a pair of rabbit ears, and that's it. It's ready to go.
Now to the coronavirus pandemic. Record jumps in infections, on top of mixed messages from political leaders and health experts, are putting Americans' shutdown sacrifices to the test. Tonight, known cases are up in at least 3 states, especially across the Sun Belt. Some states that race to reopen are now retreating. Others have hit pause. Coronavirus cases in the U.S. have now reached more than 2.5.
Listen to all the car alarms from that. You know, you're trying to do a damn video on a vintage TV, and between the illegal fireworks and the digital hash, it's just like, okay.
Tonight.
We don't know how long we're going to be closed this round. It could be weeks or months.
And a reversal for restaurants. Scaling back to 50% capacity.
Doesn't look like we're going to get over anytime soon.
A drastic retreat by Governor Graham, who late Friday expressed regret about reopening.
If I could go back and redo anything, it probably would have been to slow down the opening of bars.
As cases surge, Houston's Baylor St. Luke's just opened 4.
What a...
Been here 25 years, cannot remember a medical disaster where we had the volume and the intensity and a new disease.
The virus also has Florida backtracking. All Miami Beach closed for the July 4th weekend. And the state has suspended alcohol after what the governor called widespread...
The thing with digital is you have to have a directional antenna on the roof because the reflections in multipath just cause this garbage like this. But you can see that this Roundie is a decent example of, look at how brilliant and beautiful the color is. Imagine what this would look like if it was a brand new rebuilt or brand new old stock CRT. These Roundie sets, even though they're from the mid-60s, especially the RCA, but I'll tell you, this one's keeping right up with RCA. These sets have the potential to produce a really good picture. Really good color. Of course, the definition is not there, but the color and the overall picture is very watchable. I mean, look at what we did to this set. It was sort of minimal, you know.
Danya Backus takes a close look at our spike here in California.
Los Angeles County now has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the country, but it's Imperial County, east of San Diego, that the governor is recommending reinstate stay-at-home orders.
If they are not able to come to some consensus, I am committed to intervening.
It has the highest test positivity rate in the state, averaging 23% compared to 5.7% statewide.
This has the Zenith Buzz-O-Matic detector too.
We're going to have to dial it back because of what we see with the data.
Late Friday, a federal judge in Los Angeles ordered the Trump administration to release detained migrant children over COVID-19 concerns, warning that family centers are on fire. Arizona is also dealing with one of the worst spikes in the country. Saturday, the number of cases increased again by more than 3,500. ICUs there are nearing maximum capacity.
We are doing everything that we can to run on bare bones.
Melody Nungo-Ray Ortiz is a nurse at Banner University Hospital.
And the reason why I use the news is it doesn't trigger the content ID copyright thing. So all in all, this set is really performing very well. Very well. I mean, the picture is not a lot of noise. I might have the color up a little bit too high, but I can bring that down. Let's see. There we go.
Joining United in making all seats available. Danya Backus, KCAL 9 News.
The Trump administration insists the curve is flattening even as coronavirus cases increase in many parts of the country. Correspondent Nicole Killian tells us more about the messaging coming from the White House.
Instead of going to his New Jersey estate this weekend, President Trump retreated to his Virginia golf club.
Look at the green. The greens are awesome in this.
Vice President Mike Pence defended the administration's pandemic response in a new interview with John Dickerson, set to air Sunday on Face the Nation.
Did the reopening happen too early?
Well, all 50 states are opening up again to one.
Look at those colors. Look at the green and the red.
Arguing it would be cool in the midst of a pandemic.
All original capacitors.
The president of Honduras is in the hospital recovering from COVID-19, but he's still working home. Many people aren't going back to work despite the push.
Let's take a look at the money shot. We got 25 tubes gobbling up 120 watts just in filaments back here.
As cars with pink bows honked past the happiest place on earth. But when you're dealing with workers,
see the 6U10 right there, horizontal oscillator discharge, horizontal output.
He's here because he wants Disney to add strict safety protocols to the hotel.
Very cool.
I'm here for my aunt that passed away from COVID in April.
A customer's ran when she refuses to wear a face mask. Plus, they come up closer to check. It's flat. What not contained in the roll. Bridge of this have complicated past. What it says about those. You're watching K News 9. We're on VSN Los Angeles.
Yeah, if I'm going to keep doing TV videos, I got to put an antenna on the roof.
Celebrating the class of 2020. Congratulations.
Oh, they're going to get blown up. They're showing all these white kids.
Simply, the process was fast and efficient and got everything done.
You know what? I'm done with this. I'm done. As you can see, it's fixed. It has a really good picture for having so little done and the condition of the CRT not being the strongest. It just needs a decent signal. I got to get an antenna up on the roof if I'm going to continue to do these videos. Annoying as hell, this digital hash.